the storm with your heart. Play the storm with your heart.
Bronny James. We mentioned this last week, right? And I didn't know if Bronny James was going to stay in the draft or not. Somebody told me that Bronny James, he's going to remain in the NBA draft. I think that's a mistake. There was a report that he's going to have a private workout with the Phoenix Suns, that's all Rich Paul right there. Like, he's like the 54th best prospect, and he gets a private workout.
Nepotism, baby.
I respect. Hey, at the end of the day, I want Bronny James to succeed. I want him to make the league. I really want him to make the league. But
my bad. My bad. Interrupt. I said the Wings. I meant the Lynx. Excuse me.
the Lynx.
For the
Minnesota.
Yeah, Minnesota
Lynx. I want to say this because, like, I'm rooting for Bronny James. I really am. But we have to be realistic in this situation, and just. We talked about it last week. I talked about how I don't think he's ready for the NBA. And just hearing reports from Marcus J. Spears when he talked to people in the NBA Combine, different scouts, and how they were evaluating Bronny James, it just seems like, I hate to say it, but nepotism is the big thing. And we've seen it before. We've seen it with Giannis Antetokounmpo and his brothers. At one point, Steph Curry and Seth Curry, he wasn't that good, but he eventually developed into a quality NBA basketball player. I remember, I think it may have been Klay Thompson, or was it Blake Griffin? It may have been Blake Griffin. He had like a brother. He was trying to make the league. He wasn't good enough to make the league, and but we've seen it happen a lot of times in the NBA where like nepotism, where you have this famous. It could be a brother. It could be a father. It could be. You know what I mean? And they're so good, and their name is able to get a family member on a roster spot. And when I look at Bronny James, if he makes the league, I just hope that he goes to a situation that will allow him to develop, allow him to really key into his flaws, because it's obvious that as of right now, I don't think he's going to be able to get on the court. He'll probably have to go to the G League. And another thing, Rich Paul talking about, I'm not doing no two-way contract. I'm like, damn, bro. Like, who do you think Bronny James is? I know he's the son of LeBron James, but you're really hurting his options to not do a two-way contract. So what is he trying to do? Is he trying to say, Bronny, he don't want him to go to the G League or anything like that? Like, I'm confused.
I don't know.
What is your thought process on just the Bronny James situation, him remaining in the draft?
I said it was a mistake the last episode, and I'm going to still stand by it unless they know something we don't know. But if he's the 50-something prospect, then
54.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just yeah, he's going to have to get some mean development in the league as it stands right now, because he doesn't do anything particularly well at an NBA level. So getting called a poor man's Davion Mitchell, that is not something I wouldn't bank my future on that.
Yeah, and I'm wondering,
like, will he even make the roster? Like,
and
let's say he does make the roster, right? How's he gonna get on the court?
He's not, unless the game is like out of hand and they want to do some politics, be like, let's put Bronny in the game, LeBron, and have him and LeBron play, a minute together. On some like college basketball type ish, where the game is out of hand and the coach's son is on the end of the bench, and we're like, let's get him in the game real quick. Let's have a moment. Why not? And that's the only way I could see it working, is they just do something like that.
I think they may be trying to bank on a good summer league showing at this point. That's really the only path to getting consistent PT that I could see. I don't know. I just think it's peculiar for sure.
like if he averaged like 13 points in college, I'd be like, okay, he could
Oh,
score
yeah,
the ball a little
yeah,
bit.
okay, get him
But
in.
he averaged 5 points, and he can't run an offense. And I heard he's not that good of a defender. Like guys, whenever he got switched on a bigger dude, like he was getting cooked every time. So like, what is he good at? Because he was supposed to be known as a really good on-ball defender, but when I'm hearing, he's not even that good. So what is he?
They already said poor man's Davion Mitchell.
I don't know what he is. Like I just don't. I don't know, man. It's just he needs. It's just unfortunate that he feels the need to rush to the NBA because there's a belief that if he stays in college, he's just going to hurt his draft stock even more. I just don't like the gamble. I feel like because you're LeBron James' son regardless, so you're going to get attention. Why not develop in college? Why not find a team that will help you develop into the player that you want to be? Now,
as of right now, he's like a tweener.
And it's weird because here's my thing that I don't understand. Because I look at Carmelo Anthony's son, and this dude right here is a bucket.
Yeah, he's a bucket.
And you can tell like Melo has really worked on his game. Like he's getting coached by Melo and Chris Brinkley, who's like one of the better trainers when it comes to basketball. So he's getting a lot of help in terms of refining his game, his fundamentals. When I look at Bronny, on the other hand, I'm wondering, where did it go wrong? Like, what's going on? Like, what is LeBron doing? Why is Bronny not getting the same sort of attention to detail like Kiyan?
Well, Melo's retired.
But even when he was playing, he was still help. Because I remember I would see videos of Kiyan and Melo would be in the gym with him, teaching them different types of moves, his moves that he used to do in the NBA. And he's really become a really good high school basketball player. His scoring he can score on all three levels. I look at Bronny and I say to myself, he just looks like one of those players that, played a lot of AAU ball.
But listen, though.
Played in high school.
Considering who his dad was, he did come into the league a genetic freak athletically. And he was relying on that for a large portion until he started developing more of a post game. Now he can hit the fadeaway consistently. He's a better 3-point shooter. Like LeBron, it took a minute for LeBron. He had to go to Hakeem to get some footwork to like LeBron. He wasn't the most technical dude coming out.
I think you're underrating LeBron's fundamentals because he was actually. I'm not gonna say he was the most fundamentally sound player, but he knew a lot of the nuances of the game. He knew how to move without the basketball. If you watch his first game, you can tell that he was already like advanced when it came to understanding the game, understanding how to get open, because he was moving without the basketball. I remember, I think his first year, they were using him more as like a guard per se, less than like a point guard. Like he was more so, we're going to have you like as traditional wing scorer. And you could tell like he knew what he was doing, even as
LeBron always was a smart player.
Yeah, but when I look at Bronny, I'm just saying to myself, why doesn't he have those basic understandings when it comes to understanding how to score, understanding how to move without the basketball and stuff of that nature? When I look at Carmelo's son, it just seems like he understands a lot of the nuances, a lot of the intricacies when it comes to basketball in itself, how to be a good scorer, understanding how to score, understanding where to pick your spots on the court to score. I look at Bronny and I don't see that.
Some players are just different. Like I don't really think Bronny is the type of player to really want to do that kind of stuff.
Well, he
Like-
needs to.
Like you look at Kiyan and his demeanor and the way he's a dog. Like he's gonna get on the he's gonna talk trash. He's gonna get a bucket and talk and tell you about how he just cooked you. Like he's a New York Hooper. Like
Yeah, well, LeBron. I'm not saying Bronny has to have that dog in him, but he needs to have a more score mentality to him, and he doesn't have that. He's very reserved. He's not as aggressive as I would want him as a 6'1", 6'2" point guard, especially when you're coming into the league. You need to be able to get 15 points. You only giving me 5? You better be a hell of a defender. And he's not. He's not that. He's not a great defender like people thought he was going to be coming out of high school. That's just not who he is. And if he's not that, then what's the point of me drafting you? What's the point of me having you on my team when you can't even do that right? Like even Patrick Beverly was able to get a bucket.
Patrick Beverly was I think when Pat Bev was in high school, he averaged the most points
30.
in Chicago.
He was dropping 30.
Yeah, he averaged like 30 something.
Yeah, Bronny wasn't doing that. Bronny wasn't doing that. And Pat, see, you gotta when it comes. I think we underestimate just how talented these NBA players are.
We definitely do,
because especially these guards, because we look at them and we say, oh, this guy's just a specialist. But
like these dudes were the best players in their region when they was in high school.
And I think we underestimate just like some of these guys. Like if you need them to, all right, we need you to run the system real quick. They can do it. Maybe not for an extended period of time, but let's say, all right, for a cool 5 minutes, we need you to run the system real quick. We need you to call some plays. They can do it. With Bronny, I don't know if he can do it. And that's a basic requirement. He doesn't fit some of the requirements, according to scouts, necessary in order to make the NBA. And that's a big problem. Like you need to be able as a guard to know how to run a system for extended period, for a good amount of time. If you can't, then you're not an NBA player. If you can't guard your man for an extended period of time, you're not an NBA player. If you can't shoot a 3, if you can't shoot a jumper, you're not an NBA player. That's just how it is, man. If you don't have a skill set, if you don't have a skill set that you're good at, you're not an NBA player.
Just let me be me.